let's talk about mystic Islam, especially about Sufism. When we hear the word Sufism, we think about the whirling dervishes from Turkey or the body-piercing rituals of Iraq's Sufis. Kasnatsini, devotees spin and sway themselves into a trance and part of a ceremony to remember Allah. They then use skewers and knives to pierce their bodies. The Kasnatsani sect is the largest Sufi order in Iraq. Such practices seem strange to ordinary Muslims and to anyone who observes them. We may ask what this has to do with original Islam, since Muhammad and the Quran do not teach such practices. If we look at Islam in general, the teachings and prescribed rituals appear rather legalistic, cold, and thus without including emotions and spiritual reactions. Over centuries, many Muslims felt the urge to seek a solution and reaction to dry orthodox Islam. Many people have seen a comparison in Christianity concerning this quest in Islam. In Islam, it is the Sufi movement, and in Christianity, it is the charismatic movement. Sufism is characterized by focusing on purification, but includes ritualism, spirituality, asceticism, mysticism, and esotericism. There are different views concerning the word Sufism. The conventional view is that the word originates from Suf. This is the Arabic word for wool, referring to the simple clothes the early Muslims ascetics wore. However, not all Sufis wear cloaks or cloth of wool. Another etymological theory states that the root word of Sufi is the Arabic word safa, meaning purity. Thus, this theory emphasizes Sufism, purity of heart and soul. The following characteristics can be mentioned about Sufism. It encompasses a diverse range of beliefs and practices. Sufism experiences numerous divisions. They form themselves in different so-called Tariqas, which are Sufi orders. Sufism and its thought emerged from the Middle East in the 8th century. Today, adherents of Sufism are found worldwide in almost every country. The majority of Sufis see themselves within Sunni Islam. However, certain strands of Sufi thought are leaning more towards Shi'a Islam. It is also clear that the occult plays a significant role in Sufism. The early roots of Sufism can be traced to a woman called Rabia of Basra. She is seen as the key mystic who aimed to bring the pure love of Allah and a rigid asceticism together. Then, around 1100 AD, a Muslim named Al-Khazali tried to prevent Islamic theology and jurisprudence from fossilizing by emphasizing the spiritual interpretation of human obligations. Islamic mystics have heavily borrowed concepts from other religions such as Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Sufis have developed much of their concept of Allah from these religions. For instance, they teach their followers certain mediation techniques and breath control with the thousand-fold repetition of Allah's names or other religious formulas. These repetitions are called dhikr, remembrance of Allah. It is supposed to be practical application of Surah 13 verse 28, where it says, "Now surely Allah's remembrance are the hearts set at rest." The goal of this exercise is to become wholly one with Allah. However, many Orthodox Muslims see a great danger in this exercise, namely that this could be classified as shirk, associating other beings with Allah. An interesting point is that Sufis consider Muhammad as a mystic person and interpret many of his actions as a model of mysticism. In addition, many Muslims perform mystic practices and at the same time consider themselves as Sunni, although many Orthodox Sunni Muslims see these Sufi practices as non-Islamic activities. From this, we can conclude that there is much tension between these Muslim groups. Some of the questions which cause separations are: what sort of Sufi practices can still be tolerated as normal Islamic activity? What authority can decide which cases are within normal Sunni practices and which ones are not? Who will appoint a Sufi leader and what rights does he really have? How far are women allowed to be part of Sufi activities? Many well-known Sufi leaders who have died are in special gravesites and are referred as saints today, especially in Iran, but also in other parts of the world. Some of these gravesites are even so popular that Muslims visit these as places of pilgrimage. There are even groups of Muslims who claim that some of these pilgrimage places are of equal value to be visited as performing the pilgrimage to Mecca. This view, however, causes big problems, since the Saudis claim that Mecca is the holiest place of pilgrimage in Islam, and no other place can ever claim to be of the same value. Of course, if other places in the world are viewed as equal worth of performing the pilgrimage as Mecca, then there is for many Muslims no more the duty to spend much money and to travel to Mecca. In this case, the Saudis would lose the importance of Mecca and the most important place of pilgrimage, and thus may lose much income from the loss of people coming to Mecca. Sufi orders gather around a leader in small and personal groups. They believe that the leader is specially appointed by Allah and leads the group through special mystical experiences to the growth of each individual. Some characteristics of these Sufi groups are: they make extensive use of parables, allegories, and metaphors. They are convinced that the growth of the pupil can only be reached through the guidance of the leader seeking truth and knowledge, which are similar to esoteric perceptions. Sufi practices are primarily concerned with direct personal experiences. These practices can be compared to forms of mysticism such as scholasticism, Zen Buddhism, and Gnosticism. The following metaphor, credited to an unknown Sufi scholar, describes this line of thought. He said, "There are three ways of knowing a thing. Take, for instance, a flame. One can be told of the flame. One can see the flame with his own eyes. And finally, one can reach out and be burned by it. In this way, we Sufis seek to be burned by Allah. A significant part of the Persian literature comes from the Sufis, who created great books of poetry. Most Sufi orders have regular ritualized ceremonies called dhikr. The liturgy may include the following: recitation, singing, instrumental music, dance, customs, incense, meditations, ecstasy, and trance. Dhikr in a group is most often done on Thursday and or Sunday nights as part of the institutional practice of the different orders. Worldwide, there are many different Sufi orders with their specific spiritual leader. These groups are called dervish. This would refer to members of Muslim groups known for their extreme poverty and austerity, similar to mendicant friars. Almost all of these dervish groups trace their origins to various Muslim saints and teachers, especially Abu Bakr and Ali, who are the first and fourth caliph in Sunni Islam. They live in monastic conditions, superficially similar perhaps to Christian monk fraternities. Nevertheless, one of the differences is that the dervish have no law not to be married. It also needs to be said that many of these orders are rather small and may have come into existence and later disappeared over the centuries. Mevlevi comes from the Persian poet Maulana al-Rumi, whose shrine is in Konya in Turkey, and originally he was a dervish himself. The main aim of these groups is to try to reach religious ecstasy. The most common practice is through whirling dances. After reaching a certain state of ecstasy, they are unaware of the world around them and aim to have made a direct connection with Allah. One of the highest ecstasy practices is called Rifa'is, also called the howling dervishes. They may practice the following: pierce themselves with knives, handle red-hot iron, eat hot coals and live serpents. In conclusion, I like to share my own experience since I have visited such Sufi groups in different places as observer. I can say the following: the group leader have much authority and their position of leadership and orders are not questions. Thus, manipulation can easily take place. Sometimes the pupils are in an unhealthy competition to aim for the next stage of spiritual high or to receive the next secret word from their leader. Sufi pupils have also told me that through the guidance of the leader, often they are in an ecstasy state of mind or are in a kind of hypnotism state, and unknown spirits take possession of their bodies. In listening to such report, I have tried to encourage such pupils to assess their experience, and if they are unsure or even have fear about these practices, they should rather leave the Sufi order and reassess their lives before the true God. Of course, being myself a Christian, I have encouraged these Muslim people to read the Bible and consider the words of Jesus, who, for example, says in John 14:6, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Or in John chapter 10, verse 30, where Jesus says these amazing words, I and the Father are one. I've always given a Bible to my Muslim friends, and especially to Muslims following Sufi orders, and recommended them to read the Gospel according to John first. I understand that this gospel speaks wonderfully to their quest of truth and spirituality. So this is Sufism, or mystic in Islam. In conclusion, I like to challenge you with two questions. What do you think about this Islamic practice? Does this belong to traditional Islam, or would you consider this as occult practices outside of Islam? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Dear friends, I hope you found some valuable content about these teachings. If you found this lecture helpful, please like this video. Also, subscribe to this channel if you want to receive regular updates about new lectures and videos. If you have specific questions, you can write them in the comments and I will be pleased to answer them. You can find more information in my book, Ask Your Muslim Friend, in section 1.6.3. You can download an ebook version for free on our website. See you again soon. Good day and God bless you.